is the possibility of any true fulfillment, any true redemption. So, as I said, different people do different things. I am presenting it a way here where I'm saying, regardless where we are, we can practice. Like some people say, well, regardless where you are, you could do some prayer. I'm saying here, it's not exactly prayer, similar to prayer, which is being where I am in a way that is open to it, non-condemning of it, but not necessarily believing it is the final thing. Being open, curious about it, feeling it fully, and letting it flower inside me, letting it reveal itself. And I have the trust that if it keeps revealing itself, where will it go? Where else will it go but its source? And that's what I meant when I brought in the question of duality, of the non-duality. Non-duality means there's no separation, no true separation. The separation is in our normal experience. We experience separation. Okay, bunch of people here. Yeah, so of course, what I'm saying to let ourselves be with where we are, not manipulating it, not trying to make it spiritual or not spiritual, not holding on to it and not trying to change it, means some kind of a trust that letting it be will be fine. Many of us don't have that kind of trust. So the trust that whatever emerges within me, we can call it basic trust. See? And that's one thing we might recognize at some point, that I won't let myself just experience health because I don't trust it's going to be okay. I'm afraid or think it's going to be a terrible thing. And I might end up feeling abandoned eternally. And the basic trust means it might feel that way. I'm going to let myself feel abandoned. I'm going to let myself feel abandoned, but the trust means I'm not going to try to change it, but I'm also not going to hold on to it. And one way of holding on to it is to believe that's the final condition. To wrap my mind around it, say, okay, I am just unlovable and that's it. Nobody ever going to want me. If you take that position, I mean, you're already doing a lot to it. You're wrapping a big wrap around it and wrapping it saying, this is me. You see, that's a big conclusion. A conclusion is an interference with experience. So yes, basic trust means I don't make any conclusion. That's why I study many teaching, many traditions, and I find myself never coming to the conclusion that they got it or they haven't got it. I always let it be as provisional truth to be ascertained. And on my own experience too. That requires a lot of trust. And in fact, the realization, the enlightenment, is finally you're in place and you don't really care what it is. After a while. If you continue to care what it is, it means you really don't believe it's you. Because if you knew it was you, you know, I got it, I know it, that's it. I don't have to keep thinking about it. Right? You don't have to keep thinking about your intestines, do you? To have them? They're there, you got it. The same thing about originator. When you got it, you got it. You don't have to think about it. Thinking about it, trying to hold on to it, means still I haven't recognized that that is what is here, that it is really me. So as you see, it gets subtle. Things get subtle, you see. But the practice continues to be the same one, always. But we just, how we interfere begins to reveal how subtle it can be. At the beginning, it might be a fighting, a resistance, a reaction, or a judgment, or a rejection of our experience. But at some point, it's just a matter of being preoccupied with it, or liking it in such a way that you don't want to lose it. That becomes the meddling. And all of those reflect the question of trust. Okay, another one.
For the most part, it seems to me that choice would precede experience. So I'm wondering, in what way does choice sort of shape our experience? Or if choice, if you consider that as separate from experience?
Let me see if I understand what you're saying. Let me see. Supposedly, you're starting to feel tired. Is it a choice? What's the choice there? In the microphone.
Suppose I have a 50-50 chance of living if I do action A as opposed to action B. How do I make a choice? And aren't I in some way sort of determining an experience there? Like, I want to fight for my life, or I want to
I see what you
experience
mean. Right.
The other decision.
Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, so you have a choice in your external life, sounds, about what to do about health condition, in this case. Right? That's what you're asking. What I will do is first, right, pay attention to myself so I'm inside. Inside myself, I am settled. Inside, I am settled and contented with myself, not about the health or not about what I am. And from that, I can see easier what to do. Maybe 50-50. And the non-doing I'm talking about does not mean not doing anything about your illness. If you have an illness, if I'm sick, I go to a doctor right away. You see? And in fact, I have a suspicion that I'm sick. I will go to a doctor, eliminate that possibility. If the doctor says, no, you're not sick, then I look, well, maybe it's just I'm having a spiritual awakening. But first, I'll check with the doctor. Remember, the physical need to be taken care of first. Otherwise, if you don't survive, you haven't a chance to do anything else. You see? So that's, in fact, that is part of the origin of our dilemma, is that it is real that we do take care of our situations in our life. That's necessary. But it has become habitual for our consciousness that we apply it to everything, including our own experience of our consciousness, of our inner state.
Hopefully two related points. According to the sciences now, our physical bodies are hardwired to react. We're built that way, like startle, over your head, all that. And related, when I hear folks talk like you about being in sync with their experience, I used to love to listen to Krishnamurti speak that way. Very similar.
I'd like it too,
Yeah, well, what I noticed is that the people that talked like that and seemed to be like that already had something to keep them hanging in there in sync and not go back to meddling. In his case, it was seeming the passion to know. And he'd say the only thing that meant anything to him was to observe, to understand, to, you know.
Yeah.
Perhaps it's something else like the being in love with being there, and then you don't go back to meddling.